Commissioner Gordon, Bane has escaped.
You have been deceived. You believe your enemies exist outside of you, people who doubt you, those who betray you, the obstacles that block your path. You wage war against the world, believing it is what holds you back, what seeks to destroy you. But the enemy has never been out there, it has always been within. The mind is a battlefield, and for most it is already lost. It does not fight fair. It does not attack with weapons you can see. It whispers, it convinces, it cloaks itself in logic, in memory, in the illusion of truth. And before you even realize it, it has turned you against yourself. Not through force, but through suggestion. Not by breaking you, but by making you believe you are already broken. You think you make decisions, but the mind is always working in the shadows, shaping the way you see, feel, and react. Every doubt, every hesitation, every excuse, these are not random thoughts. They are the strategies of an enemy that knows you better than you know yourself. The mind will show you your past failures, magnify them, replay them in a loop until they define you. It will remind you of every time you fell short, every rejection, every moment of weakness. And it will ask you a simple question. Why should this time be any different? If you answer it, you have already lost. The mind does not seek truth. It seeks control. And it gains that control when you start questioning your own capability. Fear is its greatest weapon. Not the fear of pain, not the fear of failure, but the fear of the unknown. The mind will tell you that uncertainty is dangerous, that stepping into the unknown is a risk too great to take. It will convince you that comfort, even in misery, is safer than the chaos of change. And so you stay where you are, not because you cannot move forward, but because the mind has convinced you that moving forward will destroy you. You do not question this, you accept it. You live within its walls, believing them to be the edges of the world, never daring to push beyond them, not realizing that they were never walls at all. Only shadows, only illusions. The mind will disguise itself as your protector. It will whisper that it only wants what is best for you, that it is saving you from danger, from failure, from pain. And so you listen. You believe it when it tells you to wait, to think, to plan, to postpone, to hesitate. You do not see that every delay is a chain wrapped around your will, every excuse another step backward. The mind does not protect you, it imprisons you. It locks you inside your own thoughts, convinces you that movement is foolish, that risk is too great, that the safest path is to do nothing at all. But safety is an illusion, and the man who stands still believing he is secure has already lost. Most men never escape this war. They live their lives bound by thoughts that were never their own. Fears planted in their minds long before they had the strength to question them. They are ruled by doubt, by hesitation, by the quiet voice that tells them they are not enough. And so they shrink, they compromise, they accept lives far smaller than the ones they were meant to live. They do not see the truth, that the war could have been won, that the enemy could have been defeated. But they never fought. They never stood up and questioned the voice that told them they could not. And so they fade. Not because they were weak, but because they never realized they were caged. To conquer the world, you must first conquer your mind. To master anything, you must first master the voice that tells you it cannot be done. The enemy does not fear your strength. It fears your clarity. It fears the moment you recognize that it has lied to you. that every doubt, every hesitation, every fear was nothing more than a trick to keep you small. The day you see this is the day you begin to take back control. Because the mind is not invincible. It only has power when you allow it to go unchallenged. The moment you question it, the moment you push back, it begins to crumble. The key is action, not thought, not analysis, not endless contemplation. The mind thrives in stillness, in indecision, in the space between intent and execution. It feeds on hesitation, and the only way to silence it is to move, to act before it has time to stop you, to take a step forward before it convinces you to stand still. Every battle is won in the moment of decision, when you choose to defy the thoughts that tell you to wait, to delay, to doubt. The mind wants you to pause, because in that pause, it wins. But when you act without hesitation, without giving it time to take hold, you become untouchable. Discipline is your weapon, not motivation, not fleeting bursts of inspiration. The mind knows how to erode those, how to make you feel tired, unmotivated, lost. It knows how to drain your will by making you believe you must feel ready before you act. But readiness is a lie. It never comes. And the mind ensures it never will. The mind does not seek truth. It seeks validation. It does not question, it confirms. You believe your thoughts are your own, that your conclusions are the result of logic, of reason, of careful consideration. But in reality, your mind is a loop, playing the same tune, filtering out anything that dares to contradict it. Every experience, every interaction, every memory is twisted, shaped, edited to fit the narrative you already believe. You do not see reality. You see a reflection of your own expectations. And so, the man who believes he is doomed will always find proof. The man who believes he is destined to win will find that as well. It is not the world that dictates your fate. It is the mind, crafting a script that you follow without question. You think you observe the world objectively, that you gather information and form conclusions. But the mind is not a collector of truth. It is a filter. It discards what does not fit, amplifies what does. If you believe you are unworthy, your mind will prove it to you. If you believe the world is against you, it will find ways to confirm it. This is not reality. This is a prison, a construct built from your past, from your fears, from the limitations you have unknowingly accepted. And if you do not become aware of it, you will spend your life reinforcing walls that do not need to exist. Thoughts are not passive. They are architects. Every belief you hold is a foundation, every assumption a brick laid upon it. And if those foundations are flawed, if they are built upon fear, upon doubt, upon weakness, then everything constructed upon them will collapse. Yet, the mind does not rebuild. It doubles down. It refuses to accept contradiction. To admit it was wrong would be to unravel the illusion. And so it locks itself deeper into the loop, tightening the chains, silencing anything that threatens its fragile perception. The mind does not serve you, it serves its own version of the truth. And that truth is built from your past wounds, your past failures, your past conditioning. The loop feeds itself. Every time you hesitate, every time you doubt, every time you tell yourself you cannot, the mind stores it, catalogs it, uses it as ammunition. It recalls every moment of failure, every rejection, every mistake, not to teach, but to confirm. It whispers, "See, I was right. You never had a chance." And you listen. You listen because the voice sounds familiar, because it echoes in the same tone you have always known. But that voice is a liar. It is not wisdom. It is not protection. It is a self-fulfilling prophecy, shaping your reality to fit its narrative. The longer you obey it, the smaller your world becomes. There are men who have spent their lives trapped in this loop, who have never questioned it, never realized they were prisoners in their own minds. They walk in circles, repeating the same patterns, justifying their failures, excusing their inaction. They do not see that they were never cursed, never doomed, never held back by anything but the thoughts they refused to challenge. And so they die as they lived, convinced the world was unfair when in truth it was only their own reflection staring back at them. But the mind can be exposed. The loop can be broken. The first step is awareness, to see the pattern for what it is, to question every thought, every assumption, every belief that dictates your actions, to ask, is this real, or is this just what I've been conditioned to see? Most will never do this. They are too comfortable in their illusions, too afraid to strip away the walls they have built. But if you dare, if you have the resolve, you will begin to see through the deception. You will begin to realize that reality has never been the enemy, only the mind that filtered it. Freedom does not come from changing the world, it comes from changing how you see it. The loop will not release you willingly. It will fight. It will claw. It will throw every fear, every doubt, every painful memory at you. It will beg you to return to the cycle, to retreat into the familiar. But the familiar is the trap. The familiar is the very thing that has kept you shackled. And the only way out is forward, not through comfort, not through certainty, but through the brutal confrontation of everything you once believed to be true. Every day the loop waits for you to return. It waits for you to wake up and obey, to reaffirm the same limitations, to strengthen the same doubts, to live by the same script. But you do not have to. You can defy it. You can reject it. You can take a step beyond what the mind tells you is possible, and in doing so you will weaken it. Each act of defiance chips away at the illusion. Each moment of awareness erodes its power, and eventually the loop will collapse. The prison will fall, and you will see the world for what it truly is. Boundless, open, yours to shape. You were never trapped. You were never powerless. You are not stuck because of fate. You are stuck because of inaction. You wake up every day feeling the weight of problems pressing against your chest. Yet you do nothing but endure them. You tolerate a body that does not serve you, a job that drains you, a life that suffocates you, and you wonder why you feel powerless. The mind whispers that change is impossible, that the mountain is too high, that solving one problem will not be enough. And so you remain frozen, overwhelmed by the sheer scope of what must be done. But you do not need to solve everything at once. You need only to start, not tomorrow, not when the time feels right. Now, the mistake most people make is thinking their problems exist in isolation, that their weight has nothing to do with their ambition, that their unhappiness at work has nothing to do with their failing relationships, that their financial struggles have nothing to do with their mental state. But problems do not live alone. They are threads woven into a single web, reinforcing one another, feeding off your inertia. Remove one thread and the web begins to weaken. Solve one problem and the others become easier to untangle. But as long as you see them as separate, as long as you believe they must be conquered individually, you will remain trapped. You must begin with the wound that bleeds the most. The one thing in your life causing the most immediate pain. If your body is failing, start there. If your mind is in chaos, start there. If your environment is toxic, start there. Wherever the greatest suffering lies, that is where your first battle must be fought. Because that pain is not just a symptom, it is the anchor keeping you in place. And if you do not confront it, if you do not wrestle with it, everything else will remain stagnant. The key to movement is friction. The key to progress is war. And the first war must always be waged against the thing that hurts you the most. Most people seek distractions instead of solutions. They drown themselves in entertainment, in empty pleasures, in substances that dull the pain, but never erase it. They trick themselves into believing they are fine because facing the truth would require them to act, and action demands effort. But avoidance is a slow poison. You do not realize the damage it causes until years have passed, until you wake up one day and realize nothing has changed, except that you are older, more tired, more disillusioned. The mind will tell you that avoidance is easier, but avoidance is what kills you before death ever arrives. When you finally confront the problem head-on, something shifts. The fear that once felt overwhelming begins to shrink. The burden that once felt impossible to carry begins to lighten. And with every step forward, you gain something more valuable than success. You gain momentum. Progress is not linear. It is not a staircase you climb one step at a time. It is an avalanche gathering force as it moves. Solve one problem and the others begin to crumble under the weight of your movement. A man who conquers his body finds the discipline to fix his mind. A man who finds the discipline to fix his mind discovers the courage to change his life. Every victory is fuel for the next. There will be resistance. The mind does not like change. It has spent years creating a comfort zone, no matter how miserable that comfort zone is. And the moment you try to break free, it will fight back. It will tell you that progress is meaningless, that no matter what you do, life will always be hard, that the struggle will never end. And in a way, that last part is true. The struggle does not end, but neither does your capacity to overcome it. You do not eliminate hardship, you become someone who is no longer controlled by it. And the only way to do that is through action. You must learn to dance with your pain, not run from it. Pain is the teacher, the guide, the fire that forges you into something greater. You are afraid of it because you have never truly faced it. You have spent your life numbing it, ignoring it, pretending it does not exist. But pain does not disappear. It waits. And the longer you wait to confront it, the more control it has over you. If you have ever wondered why you feel stuck, why you feel lost, why nothing ever seems to change, it is because you have refused to sit with your suffering, to let it shape you into something new. When you begin solving your own problems, your purpose will evolve. The man who is drowning cannot concern himself with grand ambitions. He must first learn to swim. But once he reaches the shore, once he stands on solid ground, the world opens up to him. This is why solving one problem creates the space for greater meaning. You do not find your purpose by searching for it in books, in theories, in philosophical debates. You find it by moving forward, by engaging with reality, by proving to yourself that you are capable of transformation. And with every problem you solve, your vision expands. What once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. Everything is connected. The mind will tell you that solving one issue will not fix the rest. But the mind is a liar. The moment you take control of one aspect of your life, the rest follow. The moment you see yourself as someone capable of change, the chains begin to break. Progress is not a straight line. It is a fire that spreads. But the first flame must be lit by you. No one will do it for you. No one is coming to save you. If you wait for the perfect moment, you will be waiting until your last breath. The moment is now. The battlefield is in front of you. The enemy is hesitation. You believe your problems define you, that they are too vast, too overwhelming, too deeply embedded to ever be untangled. But that is only because you have never truly tried. You have hesitated, procrastinated, danced around the edges of your suffering without ever stepping into the fire. The moment you do, you will see how much power you truly have. You will see that the greatest enemy has never been the world, never been your circumstances, never been other people. The greatest enemy has always been your own mind. And once you understand that, once you break free from the illusions it has created, there is nothing left that can hold you back. Your mind is your greatest enemy until the day you decide to conquer it. If you are lost, the answer is education, but most do not seek it. They wander through life blind and directionless, believing that time alone will grant them clarity. It will not. Time is indifferent. It does not shape you unless you shape yourself. Those who do not seek knowledge remain trapped in the same patterns, the same struggles, the same mediocrity. They live as servants to ignorance, mistaking their lack of understanding for fate. But fate is not the architect of their suffering. Lack of knowledge is. A man who does not educate himself will never move forward. He will repeat the same mistakes over and over, believing that life is against him when in truth, it is his own mind keeping him bound. There is an answer to every problem, a solution to every struggle. But if you do not seek the knowledge required to find it, you will remain exactly where you are. But knowledge alone does nothing. If you are educated, the answer is action. This is where most fail. They devour books, consume courses, absorb theories, yet they remain frozen. They have convinced themselves that knowing is the same as doing. That understanding a concept is equal to mastering it. But the mind plays tricks. It makes you feel accomplished for learning when you have accomplished nothing at all. Action is the great separator. It is the difference between those who dream and those who build. You can spend your life preparing, but preparation without execution is just procrastination in disguise. If you refuse to act, your knowledge is worthless. The world doesn't care what you know, it only responds to what you do. And when you act, when you finally move, the next battle begins, the battle for consistency. Action alone is not enough. A single day of effort changes nothing. A single burst of discipline, a single moment of courage, a single breakthrough, it is not enough. This is where most give up. They take the first step, they push forward, and when the excitement fades, when the results do not come immediately, they fall back into old habits. They tell themselves they tried, that the path was too difficult, that it was not meant for them. But the truth is simpler. They lack the endurance to keep going. Those who stop moving will always fall back into the same place they started. The cycle will repeat until they understand. Consistency is the bridge between effort and transformation. But consistency is war. The mind will rebel. It will throw distractions in your path, temptations disguised as rest, doubts disguised as logic. It will tell you that you have done enough, that progress is slow, that results are not coming fast enough. This is the final test, the place where the masses fall. They crave instant gratification. They expect rewards before they have earned them. And when they do not see them, they falter. They do not understand that success is not a single moment. It is the result of 1,000 unseen battles, 1,000 silent victories that no one applauds, no one acknowledges. The rewards do not come to those who start. They come to those who refuse to stop. Those who remain lost remain so by choice. They have access to the greatest teachers, the greatest knowledge, the greatest opportunities in history. And yet they waste it. They consume meaningless information that feeds their entertainment but starves their growth. They do not lack resources. They lack hunger. They do not lack intelligence. They lack discipline. No one will place purpose in their hands. That burden, that responsibility, is theirs alone.